St. Nicholas Market is one of my favorite events at the RCA Center. It takes place on a center day in December, and it just really helps us to embody the spirit of giving around Christmas time. So how it works is that ahead of the market, we collect gently used items from our RCA families. These are things that would make a good gift for someone of any age. On the day of the market, pre-K 4 through 12th grade students will visit the St. Nicholas Market during the day to pick out items for their loved ones, with volunteers there to help them shop. Volunteers also help them wrap the gifts, and then they bundle them by family so that at the end of the day, parents will pick them up and take them home. This way, the gifts can be a surprise for mom and dad, the wrapping is all done, and the gifts were purchased inexpensively. It's really a win-win. No cash is exchanged during the market, but we use a spreadsheet to track how much money each child spent. The total for that family is then sent to the parent, who can pay online or with cash or check at the end of the day. This is a fundraising event, so all proceeds go towards Regina Caeli Academy. In the next module, we will discuss first how to prepare for a successful St. Nicholas Market. The keys to any good event are excellent preparation and communication. The date for the St. Nicholas Market will be on the admin calendar. First, consider where will you hold the market at your facility. Will you need to move any classes to make this space work? Do you need to request the use of extra space for the event? Can you hold your event outdoors? Next, you'll want to consider where you will store items as they are donated for the market over the course of a couple of weeks before the event. So you may want to limit the days for donation based on your storage situation. For example, if the items will be stored in the RCA office and will be limiting your mobility or use of the office, you'll want to limit the days that they can be brought in to just a couple of days before the event. If storage is not an issue though, you'll want to probably give yourself more time to price and sort the items and allow a broader range of days for families to bring in items. So to get this project started, you'll want to send an initial email to your families in late October asking for the following important information. First, you'll ask families if they give permission for their children to shop. Most families will, but if a family chooses for their children not to shop for whatever reason, we can find them another activity to participate in as their class shops. You can keep track of these permissions as they come in on the St. Nicholas Market tracker. Families can also set a price limit per family or per student, which you can note in the tracker as well. So for instance, if I want my entire family to only spend $20 at the St. Nicholas Market, I would let my CCO know, and you would take a note of that on the tracker so that on the day of the event, we can help the children stay within that budget. Next, you'll ask your families for media-free items for donation and give the dates for collection. Families should price the items with masking tape, and items should be priced inexpensively. We suggest the price points of 50 cents, $1, $2, $5, and $10. I usually suggest to my families to bring in their items for donation in a laundry basket or a large box that is labeled with their last name. Then, once we empty out the donations on the day of the event, we can put all of the gifts that family shopped for, wrapped and ready to go, back into their basket for easy transport home when the market is all said and done. You'll also want to ask your families for donations of gift wrap. We do have a small budget for gift wrap, but since this is a fundraiser, the less we spend, the more we raise. Emphasize that gift bags and tissue paper are highly preferred. There can usually be a bit of a line for the wrapping station, and gift bags are quick and easy. And lastly, you'll ask your family for volunteers. You might have a St. Nicholas Market committee signed up, which is great. You'll need volunteers to come on 1 or 2 center days before the market day in order to sort and price items that were not sent in priced by the families. Even though we ask the families to pre-price their items, many families do not. Plus, volunteers at this time can remove items that are broken or do not abide by the media policy. As a side note, books are allowed, and volunteers should just use their best judgment on whether or not a book should be included. Lastly, on these pre-sorting days, the volunteers can pre-sort the items for easy shopping. I recommend sorting the items by the receiver of the gift. For instance, sorting all items that a baby would like, or all items that a dad would like. This makes shopping a little easier for the little ones. Because you may or may not be available during the center day to instruct your volunteers, I suggest communicating all of these details in writing to your volunteers in advance, and then printing your email and posting it where they're working just in case they missed the email. You'll also need volunteers on the day of the event. Some will help the younger kids to shop, and others who will help them wrap. Get as many volunteers as you can. Don't forget to check on their background check, and volunteers that come should wear a red badge when they come to the center to communicate that most of them will have been background checked but do not have safe environment training. Next, think about your wrapping. Where will this occur? Is there space for a section of the market to have a wrapping station, or does it need to occur in a separate room? Think about the proximity to those family baskets for families to pick up in the afternoon. Some CCOs will have the ability to also consider decor for this event. You can make the market festive with certain decorations if you're able, and if you so desire, but it is certainly not a requirement. The last thing you'll want to do to prepare for the event is you'll want to make a shopping schedule for your classes. Keep in mind lunch, recess, and nap times. We try to allow the older, more discerning shoppers to shop first, although due to nap time, the pre-K classes will need to be worked in the morning. Ask your CCE if there are any tests in the upper school that you need to avoid that day. Don't forget to allow time in the morning for setup and in the afternoon for cleanup. You'll send the schedule to your staff ahead of the event so that they can prepare. Now we'll move on to discussing the day of the event. On the day of the event, your volunteers should already know what to do because you've communicated to them so well. You'll get them their red badge and you'll let them get to work setting up the store. One thing I do to make sorting the wrapped gifts a bit easier is that I put up alphabetical signs on the wall by last name. So for instance, one section of the wall may be labeled for last names A through D and then E through G. As volunteers are setting up, they will be emptying the donations onto tables to set up the shop, and they'll come across those reusable baskets and boxes that all the families sent in pre-labeled with their last name. They can then set for instance, the Bono family can be set under the A through D sign. And now as the Bono children are coming through and the volunteers are helping them wrap their gifts, the volunteers will look in the A through D section, they'll find the Bono family basket, and they'll put the wrapped gift for the Bono family in that basket. So in that vein, we want to make sure on the to from labels that you're putting on the gifts to include last name. It may seem silly to write to mom from Mary Bono, but when your center has 5 girls named Mary who all have moms, it is certainly necessary to include last names. During the event, you'll want to remind children, especially little ones, not to shop for themselves. This day is so that our children can experience the joy of giving, as hard as that is for a 4-year-old. Also, this is a time for students to shop, so remind that mom or tutor that this is for the kids. You can let adults grab unsold items at the end. Have older children wrap as many of their own presents as possible to save time. Some centers have tutors who like to make a fun activity for their class by taking their items and some wrapping equipment back to their classroom. Be creative in utilizing as many wrappers as possible. Tutors and volunteer helpers can help the wrapping process by writing gift tags as the children are shopping, the to from labels. Then they can gently stick it to the item so that the wrapper can remove the tag, set it aside, wrap the item, and then firmly affix the label to the outside of the wrappers. This just helps everything to stay organized at checkout. Don't forget last names on the to from labels. You'll want to have a checkout station set up somewhere near the wrapping station, and students will visit the checkout station before heading to the wrapping station. The volunteers stationed there will need access to the St. Nicholas Market tracker. Remember that no cash is exchanged during the event. The checkout station will simply get a final total for the items and make a note in the Student 1 column for the first student for that family. And then as the second student comes along from that family, they'd go in the Student 2 column for that family, and so on. The spreadsheet will then add up all the totals for one family so that mom or dad can pay online or at the end of the day. One thing that you might want to check out if you have time is the Mail Merge add-on to Google Spreadsheets. This will allow you to push a few buttons and email out everyone's total to them so that they know how much to pay online or in person. When all the shopping and wrapping is done, have the volunteers collect any unsold items for donation to St. Vincent de Paul. This is the time when I usually let volunteers and tutors, if they're available, grab things that they'd like to have before it gets donated. They can add that onto their family tab. Remind families during afternoon assembly to pick up their items and let them know where to pick them up. You'll want to give them a deadline for when you'll donate items that are left behind. Since we have St. Nicholas Market right before the end of the fall semester, it's also a good time to donate your lost and found items at the same time. Just make sure to give your families plenty of warning that you're donating your lost and found, and then you can take all of your items at the same time. We recommend finding a St. Vincent de Paul donation location, but if there's not one available to you, find the next best thing. This event is certainly a whirlwind, but it's one of my favorites. I love to see the kids picking out just the very best, perfect thing for their moms and dads and siblings. And then when they have their mom's item, they have to stealthily hide it when she comes in with her class or when she comes in to volunteer. It's just a super cute and fun way to teach the kids about the joy of giving, all while raising money for Regina Chaley. I hope you find it as fun as I do.